Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Thank you very much for joining another Persia webinar. This is our first webinar in 2022, and we are delighted to welcome two amazing young minds who are shaping the world of remote working. This is an exciting startup that you have probably read about on our website and our social media. OpenUp is a new app that aims to enable companies, groups, organizations that have been suffering during the pandemic and are trying to increase bonds of cooperation, collaboration, consultation among their team members to work as efficiently as possible. So we are here today with Sina Eghrari, who is the founder and CEO of OpenUp. And we have, I keep mispronouncing his name and I do apologize. I think it's Alvaro Gomez, who is the Chief Marketing Officer, or the individual who, as in his own words, is going to bring many happy customers to this wonderful company. They're both incredibly talented, well-educated, experienced. Sina is a serial entrepreneur. Read more about them on our website. I don't want to take any more of their time, and I want to just take this opportunity to welcome both of them to their first Persia webinar. Thank you for being with us this afternoon, Sina and Alvaro.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for the kind introduction, Tahir. That was very nice of you.
Very kind of you to be here with us today. So tell us a little bit about your roles within the company. What do you each do? Maybe we start with you, Sina.
Sure. I am the founder and CEO of OpenUp. I've been working on this problem for a few years now to try to solve what's known in sociology as the loneliness epidemic, with the proliferation of technology and people texting more and having less face-to-face in-person interactions. There's been a rise of loneliness globally. And so I've been working on finding a solution to address that problem, which has brought me through many different channels to the point that I'm here. And as you mentioned, I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is a very exciting venture for me because I feel like it's one of my first ventures where it's not just about a financial objective. Really, there's an objective here, which is for the betterment of humanity, the unification of mankind, which is one of the principles that I was always raised with. So that's kind of my background and what brought me into this.
Fantastic, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. I am super happy to be here and to be working together with Sina. I will do my best also to pronounce your name, Hiri or Tahari. I'm sorry, Aya, more or less?
Yeah, close.
Fantastic.
But really, thank you very much. And also thank you for the people that they are watching us. I hope that you enjoy. I don't know if you will learn too much from us, but we will do our best to share our experience. I am the CMO of OpenUp. My role is basically to bring many people to the company. I have been working with Sina now for close to 4 months. It's also very cool how we met each other, because we met in Dominican Republic while we were in holidays. And at the beginning we were doing kiting, we were at the beach, having fun, not talking about work. But suddenly one day we start talking and he told me about the project, and I connect immediately, when he told me that he want to help people to connect deeply to each other. I think that is something super important for our happiness. To feel the love of the other people. We are social humans. We need the other people at the same way as they need us. So from the beginning, I get like, okay, Sina, I'm going to jump. I want to help you with this adventure. And for the last months, we have been working in something that I think that many entrepreneurs don't put so much energy, and that is very important. That is that at the beginning, when you are creating a company, you have to make sure that someone really needs your company. no, because we sometimes we are the ones that need a company, maybe for getting respect, for being proud of ourselves, to showing to our family that we are creating a company, or to our friends. But that is not the real reason for creating a company. But the success of a company happens when you are really helping other people. So we have been working hard, Sina and me, asking many companies, having a lot of interviews, researching about what are the main things that people need to connect deeply to each other, more now than ever, that we are connected through a screen, no? So that is what we are doing, and yeah, we are having a lot of fun, and I really think that we are on the path to help many people to connect better between them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You've mentioned that you're trying to address a problem, which is why people are feeling disconnected. But is it just really because of the pandemic that this dynamic has emerged? Or in your market research in setting up this startup, why is it that you have found people feel disconnected nowadays?
Yeah. If you want, Sina, I can say what I think about this.
Sure.
Being connected and feeling that we have true relationships with people, with our community, it has been important always. No? It's something that we have been doing for thousands of years as human beings. But it's true that the pandemic make it more difficult than ever. No, a lot of communities are connected online, like we are doing right now. We have a lot of friends in Instagram, in Facebook, in LinkedIn, but that are not, or we have WhatsApp group, Slack, Discord, I don't know, many channels for talking to many people, no? But it doesn't feel the same way, no? You have more friends than ever, more connections than ever, but it's not the quantity of that connections, but the quality of that connections, no? Many digital companies, they are growing super fast. They have launched in the last 2 years. They create teams from 1 people to 100 to 1,000 people in 2 years. And these people, they have been working together, and maybe they have never seen each other in person. So they don't really share a coffee, a beer, a nice conversation. So what we are, the main things that we are finding during our research is that people need to talk about, not about work, but just about anything. Like they miss talking with their teammates about informal things. How are you? How is your family or your kids? Or if you, I don't know, if you have any kind of a sport. And we are not creating that space of informal communication through the remote channels that we have now.
Wonderful. Over to you, Sina.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, the loneliness epidemic is something that started before the pandemic. It's just definitely gotten exacerbated by the pandemic. More people worked at the peak of the pandemic, more people worked remotely than ever before. It was already a trend that was growing over time. But then, of course, with the pandemic, it went to like 60% of people were working online. And now it's come down a little bit, but still, it's more companies are deciding that they're going to be adopting more of like a hybrid approach. And still there's a lot of companies that have the 100% remote approach. And as Alvaro mentioned, it's difficult when you bring somebody into the company when all the interaction is just by Zoom and you're just talking about work. There's no friendships created. It's lacking a personal connection. People may treat each other as robots that are, you're just worried and concerned about the output that the other person is going to bring into, but we're not really being connected with them as a person. And, we've looked at all the statistics, like 70% of people have said that the #1 factor for a happy work environment is having friends. 42% of people have no friends at work. Loneliness is as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So, and they're projecting that by 2025, 1 out of 3 people are going to be working remotely. So it's definitely a big problem that people are feeling the pain, and especially the owners of the company and the leaders of the teams and the human resources department. They are trying to solve the problem for reducing the attrition, increasing the loyalty, increasing the productivity, making the communication more efficient, because all of these factors are going to make for a more productive team and a team that stays together for longer. So, I mean, it's been a problem for a while, but it's only gotten worse because of the pandemic.
Okay. Sina, these are very interesting facts that you have found that you're sharing with us. In your approach to, because you've set up a number of different companies and you've been very successful in doing this. What are the main challenges that then you are trying to address through OpenUp? What is it that you're bringing to the market to sort of resolve these issues?
Well, the biggest challenge is the lack of personal connection, especially for people that when they first join a company right now, sometimes, they haven't ever met anybody in person. It's not safe right now for people to get together. And so there's that lack of that connection. And so what we've done is we've created a solution that we've gamified a conversation in order to build that connection. So how we've done that is you install an app that we have now on the iPhone and on the Android. You install this app and you connect with your team and you schedule a time for you to have a conversation with your team. So everybody gets together online and the app will present a question, and the questions are designed to dig deep into who they are as a person. It's a non-work conversation. It has more to do with what makes them unique, their past experiences, their present values, their future aspirations, what's happened in this person's life. So we ask questions like, if you could be any superhero, who would you choose? Or what's a value that you were not raised with, but that you accumulated over the course of your life that you feel that it's important to pass on to your children? So questions like that get people speaking about their true self, not just their work projection. That's where bonds of friendship and bonds of connection are forged. And we've seen this with the tests that we've done, that people come out of the experiences, even with people that they've worked with for a long time, learning about an aspect of their life that they didn't know about before. So yeah, we encourage people to do this on a regular basis to keep that connection going. And it's in a space that conversation is probably the best way to build a connection. There's other ways to do it as well, such as gaming, but conversation is really what has historically, as Alvaro mentioned, for thousands of years, telling stories, sharing, that's something that's part of our human nature that's missing.
Wonderful. You have done a number of different studies, it seems like. So what are some of the key points? You've already mentioned some things that are very interesting. For instance, 1 out of every 3 person by 2025 will be working remotely, or that, loneliness is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But what are some of the other interesting findings that you've been able to gain through the studies and the surveys that you've done?
I think Alvaro should take this. He's really been diving deep into the study.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I can share with you like what are the main challenges that companies are having for working remotely and for creating strong teams. Like 80% of the companies that we have been talking with, they say that the most important thing and the challenge that they have is building relationships. And for building relationships, they say that they need to talk about informal things. They also think about how to build relationship with the new members. Also, how to create, it's important for them creating a feeling of belonging to the company. People, they don't want just money. They want to feel part of a family, of something bigger than them, no? Also, the importance of relationship for motivation, and having this human connection. And 70% of the people that talk something about relationship, they always include in some way the word fun. They want to have fun during work. It's not just working, but laughing, singing, dancing, sharing drinks. Some people are super creative. They do barbecues with the family. They do online wine taste. So they sell, they deliver bottles of wine to the members of the team. So they share the experience together. I think that that is also an amazing idea. So yeah, that is one of the things. Another thing very interesting is they have challenges for communication. In what ways? For example, what happens when you are working remotely and you have to talk something that is urgent because maybe people is not connected? What happens when you have something to share that is complex? Because chat message is super difficult for complex communication. What do you do when you need help? And also how you can communicate in a company that is global and you have multi-languages members. No, this 36% of the interviews say that they have some kind of problem with communication. Also, 28% talk about productivity. Very interesting that when we talk about productivity, they talk about the importance of trust, working remotely, to know what they do if they are really working. Also, distractions, because we have two kind of distraction. One is the one of our environment, our family, our friends, and maybe it's difficult to you to get focused on your work, but also during the meetings, because before when we do meetings, we don't used to have our computer in front of us. We do it one-to-one, face-to-face. But now during the meetings, we have our computer, and our computer is the focus of the distraction. So it's bringing also a lot of distraction at the same time, no? Yeah, and also tracking the productivity, no? Making sure that people is going to deliver what they say that they are going to deliver. And the other three main challenges that they have is how to manage a global company. Working remotely make the opportunity of hiring people all around the world. And this also brings some challenges, like how to manage the calendars, how to manage different cultures during in a company from different countries. Yeah, and one last thing that many people talk about is the challenge of boosting creativity, because when we are maybe having lunch, we talk with our teammates about anything, no, just like in a fresh way, not thinking about the time that you have. And this brings a lot of innovation and new ideas to the companies. And many companies feel the lack of new ideas and innovation because they don't have a space for talking without having a specific schedule. So these are like the main challenges and topics that we are finding talking with the companies.
Fantastic. Well, one of the main components of transformation that we're experiencing in the private sector is the issue of creating communities. Everyone wants companies to turn into communities. So, Sina, would you like to tell us a little bit about how you and OpenUp team and your vision as the founder of OpenUp, how are you going about creating communities in companies?
So, yeah, community building is very closely tied to team building, right? Essentially, team building is the corporate analogy to community building. So there's a lot of similarities. A lot of times a community or even a business organization does well when they have a very charismatic leader and the members of that community are really more connected with the leadership rather than within each other. So what we're trying to do is change that model a little bit so that it's not just about if you can imagine, the members of the community are the nodes, and then you have the leader up here and everybody's connected to the leader. We want to treat everybody as an equal participant within the community and to foster those interpersonal relationships and connections between individual members of the community. And so that's one of the things that we do, which is unique, is allowing each individual person to create a connection with each other so that they can get to know each other on a deeper level using the meaningful conversation game that we've created. So yeah.
Okay. How does creating a sense of community or connection, or what OpenUp is doing, how does it actually increase productivity and income? These are very important questions because, as you know, inflation everywhere is at an all-time high. So if someone is setting up a company, you know, their main interest, or they're running a company, so please, sorry, I think we have some customers
سلام خوب هستیم.
back. I think
جان.
everyone needs to.
من خیلی خوبم. من سر کلاسم.
Okay. We have, yes, we want to remind everyone to please remain mute to ensure that there's no disruption. Thank you. As I was saying, you know, everyone is interested in increasing productivity and income at this time, and profitability. So how does OpenUp help with those primary goals of companies?
Yeah, you've definitely hit the nail on the head. Productivity is probably the most important outcome of having a more cohesive team. So for example, one study says that 70 to 80% of workers globally are not actively engaged in the workplace, and it costs US businesses $550 billion every year due to lost productivity. And there's several ways that we solve the productivity issue. The biggest has to do with creating better communication efficiency. So when people feel more connected, when there's a bond of friendship, they have greater levels of trust with other people. By creating greater trust, they're more willing to admit when they're wrong. They're more willing to ask for help when they need it. There's going to be a lower attrition. As an entrepreneur, I know I spend a lot of time for an employee when they come on board, for them to learn the company culture, to learn the technology that we're working on, right? Like there's knowledge that they gain. So if an employee leaves the company, that's a major hit. So that's attrition. By having more loyal employees in the company, you're going to have overall much more efficiency because people are not going to be leaving. And you know, there's a lot of studies also that show that highly engaged employees are 19% more, produce 19% higher operating income. And, you know, if there's a less engaged employee, it causes a 33% decrease in income. So that's a 51% difference in profitability between companies with really highly engaged staff compared to those that have, you know, that are not engaged. So creating that engagement, that connection, and that friendship, it allows the members of the team to feel safe, and that safety creates the comfort to speak up and ask for help in those types of situations.
Fantastic. Alvaro, did you want to add to that?
I would like to add one thing, that he was talking about attrition and about the retention of the talent, no? But there is also another aspect that is, like, everyone want to be in a happy place, no? Everyone want to be part of a good community, of a connected community. So it's also very important for attracting talent, no? So I'm sure that many times we have interact with different companies, and sometimes we have the feeling like, I don't know what is happening inside this company, but maybe I don't really want to continue sharing time with these people, no? Another time you share an interview or just a call with someone, and you are like, wow, I would love to continue working with these guys, no? So yes, some things, I want to add one sentence that I think that is important, that this quote says, it's time not only to measure what we can measure, but to measure what is important. So sometimes it's not easy to measure something, but it's clear that it brings value. The ones that have that trust in that, no, they will receive that value.
Wonderful. One of the key concepts that you mentioned yourself as well, and in fact, you're doing it right now as we're in this webinar. Sina, you're in Colombia as we're speaking today, and Alvaro, you're in Spain. So if this is a trend, if you're saying that in fact, based on your research, 1 out of 3 individuals by 2025 will be working remotely, which means this scenario of what we're experiencing today may in fact be a work meeting for collaboration, for project delivery. So what are maybe, if you could just offer each of you, what are the top 3 tips that you're able to give us at this point through the research that you've done and the way OpenUp will be changing the face of remote working? What are the top 3 things that we should do to increase efficiency and productivity through remote working?
I think it's important to set aside time dedicated for team building in a manner that's has no conversation related to work. I think that's really important to do that on a regular basis as well, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever you can afford within your organization. And, whether it's using OpenUp or just, for the first maybe 5-10 minutes of a Zoom call, going around and everybody answering a question, you could use these questions. There's lots of questions out there that are designed to elicit conversation and understanding about the person. So I think it's important to dedicate that time for an activity to put aside for it. Alvaro, do you have anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I was taking my time to think about 3 tips. Look, I will say for increasing productivity, working remotely, I will say these 3 things. The first one, changing the priorities and not giving priority to the tasks, but giving priority to the relationships. It is not something to do when you have time. It's something to do, yes or yes. Put it into your calendar. Set a time for that, once per week, 5 minutes per day. Many people do it daily, calls with the members of the team. And I think also that for creating strong relationships, putting some time for one-on-one calls. If you are a team leader, if you are the owner of the company, speak one by one with the people of your company, at least 5 minutes per month, 10 minutes per month. But it is not healthy for the relationships of your company to be 1 year without talking one-on-one with the people that is working on your company. So that will be one thing, one-on-one conversation as a priority. Also, learning how to write better. It's time, it's super important to be clear with our ideas, and I think that we use too much meetings many times because we are not able to express our ideas through text. So increasing our capabilities of writing and losing the fear to do it. To do it in a clear way. Many times, the simpler, the better. And the last thing probably will be increasing also the asynchronous communication. I use, for example, a lot one tool that is very useful and very useful for many people that is called Loom. When there is something that is too complex to write, and maybe I can do it better in a video, instead of having a meeting, I click record, I record my face with the background that is my computer. So I can do a 2-minute video, 5-minute video, telling whatever, and I send that link through WhatsApp, Slack, or any chat that you have. And it's a super easy way of having like a mini meeting, asynchronous, and your teammate in any part of the world can see the video, give you some comments, and even send you a video back, and you don't have to edit, super fast. Also, it's fun to do it. So that's 3 tips.
Fantastic.
I have my second and my third challenges or tips. So one of the things that I was going to say is for the leadership to be able to express vulnerability. I think that's really important. So whether it's like a personal challenge that you've overcome or something that you're working on, I think that when a leader expresses vulnerability to their team is more likely to also express their own vulnerability. And then the last thing I was going to say is to create an environment where it's psychologically safe. If somebody makes a mistake, if they are, badgered or put down for having made that mistake, people are not going to feel comfortable admitting when they're wrong. And it's really important for many different reasons to be able to admit when you've made a mistake. And if you're in an environment that you feel safe to be able to admit that mistake, people are willing to say these things out loud and they can grow from it. And so if you have a really healthy work culture, you can tell by how willing people are to be able to admit their mistakes. So I think those were my second and third.
Fantastic. So that brings me to another question that's very important and very, very, significant these days. And actually one of our webinar participants has also highlighted it. We are seeing an increase in mental health challenges. And again, loneliness and working remotely are adding to these mental health challenges. So how does your startup, how does OpenUp address mental health challenges? How does it mitigate the negative impact of mental health challenges on productivity and profitability?
So the way that we're building OpenUp is that there are going to be various modules. And when we were looking at what types of modules to create, we looked at some of the prevalent issues that were brought up by the people that we were interviewing, customers that we were interviewing. Workplace diversity was a big one. And because, as Alvaro mentioned, people are working in more global teams. There's a lot of cultural differences with the way that people work in different countries. And maybe when they first start working together, they don't understand that, why did so-and-so say that they were going to do something and then they didn't do it? Well, in some cultures, they say they're going to do it because they're going to give it their best effort, but they might not be able to execute on it. And so having that understanding about certain cultures helps a lot with being able to create a better environment when you have a lot of diversity. Another module has to do with gender equality so that people understand kind of the issues that are associated with that. Another module will be for working styles. How do you best like somebody to approach you when they have maybe like a conflict that they need to approach? Is it better to email you? Is it better to send you a message on WhatsApp? Do you want to just get on a Zoom call and hash it out that way? Maybe in the morning, I don't want you to call me because I haven't had my coffee yet, but after 10 o'clock, it's okay, right? So there's those aspects of like work styles and diversity. But I think generally, kind of more broadly, when it comes to mental health, if we can address this loneliness problem by helping people feel more connected, feeling that bond of friendship with other people within their work environment, creating that psychological safety. If we can solve that problem, then I think it's going to raise everybody's mental health and they're going to feel less lonely. Everybody's sitting here working from home in a silo. And now we have an ability to say, oh, okay, Alvaro is my friend. It's interesting, actually, when me and Alvaro met, it was in a completely different context. It was really more about, like he said, having fun and kite surfing. And then we started talking and then I was like, you know some stuff about the internet. What do you do? And he said, I work in growth. And I was like, oh, I love it. I'm interested in talking to you more. We set up a meeting and actually we used OpenUp and we got to know each other. We used it for, I think it was like 2 hours. We went back and forth answering these questions. I learned about his family. I learned about, a precious gift that his mother had given him that he carries with him everywhere that he goes. So it was a very a bonding experience and a business relationship came out of it. So from the standpoint of, mental health and psychological health, having those personal connections, even though we can't have always in-person, face-to-face conversation, which is really the ideal way that we would communicate. But since we're all, in different countries right now, we have an alternative solution. It's just have a conversation and feel that connection bond.
I would like to add something to that also. Like when we talk, the first thing to be clear is that we cannot solve all the problems. Like we are doing our best to help people, no? But in reality, mental health is a very complex problem, multifactorial problem, no? So we are working in some of the most important things that is related with relationships, but there are other very important things that people have to take care for for being healthy, no, mentally. And I see something that is, we have changed from 8 hours working to 8 hours working on a computer. And this is something that we accepted. But it's not the same working physically, moving your body, I don't know, shaping wood, doing like being outside in nature. There are many kind of work. But now we are inside a place, 8 hours in front of a computer. So as humans, we are not designed for that. It puts our brain to a 200% of energy, and our bodies to a minus 100% of the energy that we should use. So it's completely unbalanced, no? We can go to psychologists, we can look for coaching, but they are very basic things that we can do. Our bodies and our mind is like a engine that works with fuel for being happy. No, this fuel is dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphin, and we can have an impact into that fuel to feel good. One is the relationships, but also is just moving your body, doing some kind of a sport, getting in contact with nature, having fun, painting, singing, dancing, doing some kind of meditation. You don't have to do it the whole day. I cannot be the whole day dancing or playing, no? I will be exhausted. But putting some other things in our lives that are natural to us, and yeah, that I think that is super important also. Not just approaching mental health through the brain, but doing through our sense, our body, and all the ways that we have to interact with reality. You know, we have a full body experience, so we have to use it for feeling happy.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. Sina, I want to sort of establish a connection between what you are doing now and your personal experience, of course, being from Iranian background and being part of the Iranian diaspora. What are some of the elements that perhaps you experience, you know, on a personal basis, being away from the land of your birth, from your family's homeland, that has contributed to you now establishing a company that is aiming to bring about meaningful relationships and connection and connectivity among individuals?
Yeah, I mean, that is a very instrumental part of my upbringing. You know, we left the country, we left Iran when I was 3 years old, and there's definitely a piece of me that's missing because of that experience. I would love to be able to go back one day and be able to, you know, put that piece back in. But I think that experience of growing up in America as an immigrant, there were a lot of experience I had, especially in my childhood, where I felt like an outsider, right? So maybe I felt like I didn't belong. And so I did a lot of work, you know, as an adult to be able to address that issue. And so that's really kind of a big factor that led into this business, was how do you make people have a greater sense of belonging within their communities, within their workplaces. And so I definitely see the connection from, you know, the experiences that we had to go through the Iranian diaspora, coming to America, feeling like an outsider, and finding my way, finding my tribe, and finding my community of like-minded people. And then, of course, is also the values that I was raised with from my parents has a major impact in this as well. As you know, I was raised believing in the unity of all humankind, in the elimination of prejudice, and the equality between men and women. So all of these factors have led me feeling I want to build something that makes people feel more connected, that bridges these, you know, cultural divisions, these gender divisions. So finding a solution to enhance the overall unity of mankind is really one of my life's objectives. And so this is one of the manifestations of that purpose.
Wonderful. How about you, Alvaro? Have you ever thought about what was that personal passion that led you to establishing this particular startup? Because you've been part of different startups throughout your journey. So what was that personal longing that brought you to do this? What was it that made you want to bring about closer ties and more meaningful relationships among coworkers?
Yeah. Well, I have to say a little bit about my story for that. I am 26 or 27, not sure. I have to check it, but around 26 or 27. So I am quite young. And I start working super early. No, when I was 12, I created my first mini company. So I have been working all my life. And with 18, I created my first startup. And after that, I was working like a lot, also with a lot of passion, because I am super energetic. But I worked like for 5 years, like crazy, doing all what I can. And I grow professionally. But personally, I was 22 or 23, and I was like, I miss something. Like there is some kind of problem inside me that I don't know what it is, and I need to solve it because I am not feeling good. I feel alone, and I don't know. I was feeling like I need something inside me to do click, and it was not happening. And working too much is not going to help me for sure. And also in some way, because I think that I was doing that because if people see like my success, I will feel better about myself. But that was like a trap, no? Because I don't really think that your love have to be related with your success. We should give us like unconditional love, no? So I really think that I have to change something. So I quit. I went to Thailand. I learned to meditate. I learned a little bit about Buddhism. I read a lot about psychology, mind, motivation, and a lot of things. Basically, my life, for many people will say like it have been easy. I have not big traumas, but my big trauma is feeling bad, like feeling emotionally bad, even though from outside people can say like you don't have to feel that way, but I feel it that way sometimes, and sometimes really strong. Like I have feel what is like feeling like you have superpowers and you can do whatever you want, and at the same time later feeling like I am not able to do nothing and I don't deserve to be alive, you know? So that for me is the bigger pain that I have felt in my life, and it has been super strong. And I can see that in other people. For me, it's clear when someone is feeling that. It's like I have a radar for detecting that in other people. And I cannot live alive where I am not doing nothing for that, where I am not helping for people to be emotionally good. So that is my main reason for becoming part of OpenUp. That is, for me, I know that there are other many important things to solve in the world, but for me, what I feel stronger for me, and I cannot say no to that, is to helping people to feel good. That's it, and that's why I get into this.
Fantastic. So, given the fact that you're both working remotely from two very, very pleasant spots around the planet, and Persia, of course, we have a lot of students who watch our spaces and young professionals. Are you looking for individuals to come and intern with you or to join forces with you? And if so, then how do they get in touch with you? How do they find out more about OpenUp, either as individuals who want to work with you or as companies that want to find out about OpenUp and use your services in their entities?
Yeah, absolutely. We are always interested in working with young, bright minds. I would love to be able to, to meet some people through this interview. So my email address is sina@openup.chat. You can email me. You go to the website, you can find my email address as well, which is openup.chat. We are also looking for businesses, remote teams that want to increase to build their teams better, So of course, if there's anybody, it tends to work, I think, better for teams that are maybe between 8 to 100 people. But you can do it with as little as 2 people as well. You can even use it to interview somebody for coming in working for you, or to create a business relationship, such as what I described with me and Alvaro. And then, of course, we're also looking for angel investors too. So for all of those, just send me an email, Sina@openup.chat.
And do you accept remote interns to work with you?
Absolutely. Our entire team is 100% remote. That's one of our core values as a company, because everybody has the freedom to be able to live the lifestyle that they want to, wherever they want to.
Yeah, since I have been working, since we have been working together, I have been in Dominican Republic, I have been in Floripa, in Brazil, I have been working now in Mallorca. So there is not any problem for anyone all around the world. It will be better if they know how to speak English. That is good for communication, no? Yeah, that will be like the key point. And also, if anyone, we are looking for marketers. We need some support for making the company grow. So if you are interested in learning a little bit about marketing and managing the digital marketing of a company like this one, where our main mission is to make people connect between them, please contact us.
Wonderful. So is just final question, perhaps, is OpenUp going to be available to non-English speakers at some point? Of course, again, Sina, you were talking about your background coming from a Persian community. Will it be, as you know, one of the challenges in the Persian community is reestablishing connections and intimacy and meaningful relationships. So will OpenUp be available in any other language soon?
It's a very good question. It's something that we've talked about. When we've analyzed the languages that we would want to support one day in the future, English, of course, and then Spanish being the #1 mother language in the world, but English is the #1 auxiliary language in the world. So I think with English and Spanish, we should be good for probably the majority of people that are in the remote work market. So that's, right now our eyes are set on Spanish probably for 2022. And then we could maybe look at other languages in the future.
Fantastic.
In any case, if anyone want to use it, like in reality, the app text is very basic, like connect, login, play. So the words, probably if you don't know too much about English, you will know what you need at least to start a conversation. And later, you can get into the game, edit the game, and you can put questions in any language. You can create your own questions in French, Chinese, whatever you want. So anyone around the world can use it. The only thing will be that the play button you will see play, and to start, but they are so basic words that probably anyone can use it.
Fantastic. That's very good. Well, thank you again for taking the time to speak with Persia and our Persia family around the globe. It's always wonderful to see an Iranian immigrant or someone from Iranian descent getting involved with initiatives or initiating new efforts that are of relevance and of service to a much larger and more diverse community around the globe. So thank you for starting OpenUp. Thank you for sharing with us about OpenUp. And we hope that some of the students and some of the young professionals who are watching this live cast will be able to contact you and join forces with you. Thank you to all our participants and audience who are watching this video. Our next webinar in February will be with a young Iranian Canadian who is outstanding. You can read more about him on our website and our social media. He's a rising star at a very young age, and it's wonderful that he's joining Persia for our February webinar. Find out more about us, support our scholarship schemes that are available. If you want to apply for a scholarship for women in STEM or for human rights and public service, please visit our website at www.persia.education or follow our social media for more exciting opportunities. Thank you again, and have a pleasant evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tahir. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.